Welcome back to some new PettyRevenge stories, where people share small victories over those who wronged them. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Shouldn't Scream at Me. When I was working for local government, I was on the service desk, handling phone support. We were literally seconds away from closing for the day. Codes were on, and we were about to sign off. Then, just 15 seconds before the phone lines closed, someone called in. Let's call her Jane A. Jane A was having trouble logging into her work mobile phone, which seemed like a straightforward issue. It could be resolved with a quick password reset. It should have only taken a few minutes, or so I thought. But Jane quickly made it clear she blamed me for her issue. And when she demanded to talk to the specialist on mobile devices, who had already left an hour ago, she somehow decided that was also my fault. Sensing where this was going, I muted the call for a moment and asked my manager if I could end the call, because she was being rude. My manager decided to listen in from her desk to assess the situation herself. What followed was absolutely unreal. Jane spent nearly 30 minutes yelling, refusing my help entirely, while insisting that I was the cause of her problem. I offered to pass it over to the mobile support specialist, so he could look into it first thing in the morning. But since she refused to go through any troubleshooting steps, there wasn't much else I could do. The yelling continued, and by this point, I was well into unplanned overtime. I stayed calm and polite, hoping she'd let me help, but she just wouldn't relent. After another 10 minutes of yelling, Jane finally agreed to let the mobile support guy handle it in the morning. We ended the call, and I felt completely drained. I was so upset that I was close to tears. My manager was furious on my behalf. She couldn't believe a colleague would speak to another staff member that way. The next morning, my manager surprised me with a box of chocolates and went straight to our department leader to report what had happened. About a week later, I received a letter from Jane, apologizing for her behavior, but then she suddenly vanished from the office. Her profile was no longer active in the directory, and it turned out she'd been fired. It was later revealed that Jane had been using another colleague's account for her mobile phone and accessing files she shouldn't have. She had somehow acquired the login information of another employee, who also happened to be named Jane B, and who worked in child protection. Jane A had been accessing sensitive files she had no business viewing, which was a major data privacy breach. She'd passed all security checks using Jane B's details, and that led to her termination. The next story is called Teaching Him a Lesson. I'm a senior in high school, and my brother's a sophomore. I used to drive him to school every morning, even though he could have taken the bus. I gave him plenty of warnings that if he wasn't ready on time, I'd leave without him. Eventually he got the message and started taking the bus instead. The only issue is that he still misses the bus pretty often, so my mom ends up driving him to school. My mom absolutely adores my brother, and she's not as strict with him about time management. She doesn't really remind him to get up on time or tell him he can't make her late for work. Yesterday was senior skip day at my school, so I had the day off. My mom and older siblings all had to leave early for work, so my brother either had to make it to the bus or I'd have to get up early to take him. Of course, he missed the bus. So since I had to take him to school on my day off, I decided to make it a memorable lesson. As we were getting in the car, I reminded him that he needed to be ready on time. He just laughed, like it was a joke. So I decided if he couldn't respect my time, I wasn't going to worry about his. The rest of the morning, I took my time. I forgot my wallet with my license and spent an extra couple of minutes pretending to search for it. Then I noticed some frost on the car windows. Time to turn on the defroster and wait for it to melt, slowly. And of course, I had to make sure my phone was properly connected to the car. Or how else could I drive him without my music playing? We finally left the house at 7:19. when we should have left by 7:10. And as if the universe was on my side, every traffic light turned red. Traffic was bad. His school starts at 7:30 and he didn't end up getting there until 20 minutes later. Hopefully he'll think twice about making others late in the future. But knowing him, who knows if he'll ever fully get the lesson. The third story is called Review Got Him Fired. I used to work at a small family-owned business in sales. The owners were a bit distant and mainly focused on the bottom line. But overall, it was a nice place to work and I enjoyed my time there. After a couple of years though, they hired a new VP of sales who completely changed the work environment. I won't go into all the details, but he made things difficult for a lot of us. After about 6 months of dealing with him, 2 other well-respected employees and I quit within weeks of each other. During my exit interview, I was open with the owner about how the new VP was affecting the team culture, but it was clear the owner wasn't too concerned and was backing the VP. A few weeks after I left, while waiting for a doctor's appointment, I came up with a subtle but clever idea to make a point about the VP. I left an anonymous review on Glassdoor, posing as a current employee, considering leaving for a competitor because of the VP. I mentioned that morale was low and that many employees were 1 foot out the door, actively looking for new jobs. I had a feeling this would get the owner's attention, and it did. The very next day, I heard from some old colleagues that the VP was suddenly working from home. Pretty unusual back then. The owners then privately met with each employee to discuss their opinions about the VP and their overall satisfaction at work. People were honest, and as a result, the VP never returned to the office. Later on, I heard from my former colleagues that the work environment improved significantly, and the owners ended up promoting a strong internal candidate to replace him. The company has since grown a lot. I never told anyone about what I did. It's funny looking back. My small anonymous review ended up making a big difference, not only in removing a difficult boss, but also in helping to improve the company overall. The next story is called No Pictures. I had a boss who really tried to fit in with everyone on the surface, but behind the scenes, he was constantly filing petty complaints to try to get some of us in trouble. One rule at work was that no pictures were allowed in our workspaces. He singled me out, probably due to my age, and reported my astronomical calendar with an anonymous complaint to HR. We'd seen him snapping photos of our desks, so we knew it wasn't really anonymous. HR reached out to me, mentioning, even though no individuals are depicted, but still sent me a copy of the rule. So I decided to put up a calendar with quotes from famous people on their birthdays instead. Sure enough, he was back at it, taking photos like a tourist. HR contacted me again and confirmed that since no one was depicted and the text was small, the calendar was fine. That evening, I decided to take a few photos myself of his office, which had at least a dozen framed pictures of his family. I printed the photos with his name tag clearly visible and dropped them off at HR. He had to pack up the pictures, clearly upset, feeling like he'd been treated unfairly. Eventually, his antics caught up with him, and he was let go for similar issues. I ended up staying on until retirement and still laugh about it to this day. The last story is called She Wouldn't Learn. I used to really dislike the days before caller ID, especially since our home phone number was only 1 digit off from a popular Chinese takeout restaurant. This was also before the internet and with rotary dial phones, so people would often call late at night, wanting to place food orders. One caller was especially persistent, calling several times a week, usually around 11:30 p.m. We'd tell her to call the correct number, but she didn't seem to get it. One night, when my parents were out and expected back around midnight, I thought I'd take her order to see if I could figure out who this person was. So I took her order, got her name, Karen, phone number and address, told her it would be about an hour and went back to watching TV. I quickly realized it was a neighbor of ours and someone who'd been my teacher a few years prior. When my parents got home, I told them what I had done and who was responsible for all those late night calls. Sure enough, at 12:45, Karen called back, demanding to know where her food was. My dad picked up the phone, called her by name and told her who she had actually been calling. He also warned her that if she kept calling us late at night, he'd be speaking to her school principal about her behavior. She was clearly caught off guard, quickly hung up, and we never heard from her again. The next day, when I delivered her newspaper, I included a note, kindly reminding her to double check the number before ordering Chinese. She happened to get home just as I handed her the paper, turned bright red, and hurried inside. I delivered her paper for a few more years, until I left for college. And she never apologized or called our house again late at night. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.